Hi there, and thank you for joining us on the Overcomers Overcoming podcast. We feature those who are in the process of overcoming or have overcome any type of life encounter, life obstacle that at the time seemed to be almost insurmountable. With this podcast, we have three objectives in mind. Our first objective is we want you to know with a confident resolve you are not alone. We want to work with you. We want you to know there are others who are working with you, who want to help you through whatever you are encountering, and together we will get through whatever you're experiencing.
Our second objective is there are multiple options for any life encounter you are facing. We want to help you develop a resolve that there are various options and solutions to any life dilemma.
Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If you're encountering something that was possibly a decision you made sometime in the past, and if you had the opportunity for a life redo, you would make a different decision. We want to help you with those critical thinking skills that can help you make an informed decision and not encounter what you're going through at the moment. We are the Cooper Culture, a veteran-owned business. We work with business personnel and families to develop and sustain connected relationship cultures within their families and organizations. That type organization is one where people feel wanted, appreciated, and genuinely a part of that organization. I'm with my wife and business partner, Marty, who has helped me facilitate this podcast. Today we feature Dr. Jeremy Weisz, who discusses with us a part of his background of inspired insider, as he explains to us, but then he also discusses with us dream relationships. One of the core aspects of his life and his teachings is overcoming adversity, moving forward beyond any adversity that might beset us. And it's learning how to have a mindset that we can overcome any adversity of the past when we have the right relationship with people and we're surrounded by people who support us and so forth. There's no obstacle, there's no adversity, there's no person who can keep us from achieving the greater good of what we want to do. He's a great inspiration to overcome anything that may keep us from achieving our very best. Marty, what are some takeaways you got from Jeremy Weisz?
Jeremy has a wonderful personality, that happy personality that a lot of people can be attracted to. But he also talks about going through hard times, that a business is not always easy. Many times when you go through something, he said self-talk. Just learn the self-talk. That's not what I should be thinking, or this is what I should be thinking. And he also said, look at it that you're blessed.
Surround yourself with positive people and ingest positive mantras. Let's listen and learn together. Jeremy, it's great to have you with us. By your own admission, you are a recovering chiropractor and you conduct your own podcast, and we'll see maybe from this podcast would I qualify to be on your podcast. But our listeners are going to be very interested in knowing how you have recovered from maybe earlier life's adversities. You pivoted from being a chiropractor to who you are today. And some of our listeners may be going through some sort of a life pivot as well, and they're going through some sort of life adversity, and our listeners can learn a lot from you. Dr. Jeremy, we'll refer to you as Jeremy throughout. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah,
So
it's interesting
go
you say
ahead.
that, because like when I think about a job or career or whatever it is, when I listen to people who have investing advice, they always say diversify, right? And so for me, I was thinking, okay, if there's one career, one job as a chiropractor, is that smart to put all my eggs in one basket? And so I guess I always just kind of planned for the diversification, right? And so early on, um, my background is in biochemistry. I studied at University of Wisconsin and went on a chiropractic school, and I started a supplement company early on in addition to my chiropractic business. And we're doing selling supplements more B2B, so like medical offices, acupuncture offices, chiropractic offices, then eventually went online. And then I started podcasting early on, like around 2007, 2008, and that turned into a separate business on accident, and people are asking me to help them. And so I kind of, which I don't know if I recommend that, but it did. I had kind of three different businesses I was running, and then eventually it's tiring and it's a lot of time and energy. And but it definitely builds like a diversification. And so, COVID hit, and really there was a lot of issues with people. I mean, we were considered necessary, our chiropractic office, but people don't want to go out, they don't want to be around people. And so it really tested the business, tested me, but I've always kind of just, I guess, is normal, just working 80 plus hour weeks, right? So like a 40-hour week to me is like part time.
Okay. And now I'm discerning to you. Certainly tell me if I'm wrong, but chiropractic work to you, albeit, yep, satisfying and so forth, is the same thing day after day after day, whereas research is something very different every day. And certainly tell me if I'm reading something into you that's not the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely interesting. I kind of compare like the chiropractic business to, and I got into it originally because my dad suffered with really bad pain, and he went for years, and professionals told him you're just gonna have to live with it. And when he went to see a chiropractor, finally, he was almost 100% better in a few months. And so I saw him go through that, and I actually wound up working for the chiropractor that he saw in high school to see if that's what I wanted to do. So it's definitely, I just have a passion for health in general, but it's definitely different dealing with just anyone walking in off the street. And the patient base I had was wide ranging from a socioeconomic perspective. And it's definitely a different perspective when there's like really from the podcasting business, you're dealing just with business owners, right? And so there's stress to both of them, but there's definitely like a stress having like a retail location where anyone can walk off the street into your place, right? And so I don't know if there's like a necessarily a dull moment for the chiropractic side, but it's definitely um, it was a nice transition, I think, because I can location independent, work from anywhere. So like anyone's listening, I was commuting like 2 hours a day into the city to my office, and so it wears on you after 15 years.
Yep. And so it would seem that you are a consummate problem solver. And yes, health wise, yep, you're probably inspired by helping people through various health challenges, but maybe building a business is even more gratifying, helping people through, well, not establish and overcome whatever challenges they're with in building a business. Is that kind of who you are?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think building a business is no joke. You know what I mean? Like I was talking to someone the other week, and I would joke around that in my chiropractic office, I was the chiropractor, I was the janitor. Like if the toilet gets clogged, guess who's fixing it? Like there's no one. I did need to do everything. The snow, it snows in Chicago. I'm shoveling the snow before the patients come in. So like there's no, it's a humbling experience, I think, even with the business today. Like you just have to do whatever, in my mind, I have to do whatever it takes just to make it successful. And there's a lot of hats that I have to wear typically, I think, for any business, really. So I don't think running a business, having business is for the faint of heart. At least that's been my experience.
But I'm looking at your background that build dream relationships
Yeah.
and Rise 25 inspired leader. I can think of a lot of different things that might be associated with those terms, but maybe start us out. Build dream relationships. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the most important thing in my life is relationships, and it doesn't have to be personal relationships. It could be, resources, right? Like audiobooks, or books in general that I've learned from. And so when I look at, success, I look at the people who have been there and have done that. It could be in health, it could be in business, it could be with family, it could be whoever it is, right? I mean, both of you talk about leadership and teamwork and things like that. And I think having someone that is a mentor, colleague, coach is one of the most important things in my life. If I want to shortcut things, right? Because oftentimes I'd rather not learn from experience because that's the most costly, and most costly from a time and money perspective. So I like to shortcut things and have mentors. And so for me, building amazing relationships is how do I help people? I look at how do I help someone as much as possible. And I don't expect a good friend, Brian Kurtz, wrote a book called Over Deliver, and he talks about 100-0 and like give 100%, don't expect anything in return, right? And that's kind of how I like to try and show up for people and help them. And I'm not expecting anything in return, but it does build goodwill with people. And the way I think about it too is, well, one of my favorite books, Adam Grant's Give and Take. And he talks about givers, takers, and matchers, and how givers are the most successful and the least successful. And so I always think of who do I want to give to? I want to give to another giver, right? Because we naturally just want to give to each other. And so good things happen. So when I'm thinking about building relationships, I'm thinking, how do I give as much as humanly possible to people? But how do I also surround myself with givers who are going to help me as much as possible too?
And my perception is, in the context of giving, Marty and I feel exactly the same way. We're long-term thinkers. In other words, yep, we can be very fulfilled in working with someone to help them get to wherever they're going, and we don't necessarily have to have an immediate monetary return on that, but the fulfillment of just knowing that we were in a catalyst is a very operative term for me. But as being a catalyst, a mentor in someone else's life, yep, very fulfilling. In long-term thinking, yep, that's going to have a return at some point in time. Is that somewhat characteristic of who you are?
100%. I mean, long-term thinking is really from a relationship standpoint. I'm not thinking necessarily transactional. I'm thinking, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and not only thinking one dimensional. If someone's helping me in business side, it's all integrated, right? How do we hang out outside of business with family and things like that? So for me, it's definitely from a long-term approach and trying to make decisions on that long-term approach.
Was your grandfather a part of a dream relationship? And I may be mischaracterizing it as dream, but I'm thinking long term. And Marty and I both read a little bit about your relationship with your grandfather.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like my grandfather, I put it on my podcast page, Inspired Insider, and it's on my About page, kind of front and center there because it is definitely is motivational for me, and it kind of shows where I came from. My grandfather was a Holocaust survivor and kind of endured really terrible things in his life, but he showed up for people with love in his heart. I mean, and if I went through that, I don't know if I would do that, show up in love in my heart. Because except for his brother, his whole family was killed, right? And so he showed up like that for people. It was always inviting people in their house if they didn't have enough. And it's not saying he grew up with a lot. He came here with nothing to the US, but always trying to help people, always trying to just, show love to people. And so it's definitely an inspiration for me. to show up. If he went through what he went through and he shows up with love in his heart, like, why wouldn't I? And try and help and give to people, especially them. He didn't like have a ton, but always invited people into his home and into his life, so definitely an inspiration.
Holocaust survivor makes me think of several people of that era, but some Jews feel targeted. Did your grandfather feel targeted as based on his background and so forth? And did that carry forward into your family, any aspect of that?
Like in when he came to the US, I mean,
Well,
or
yes, when it came to the U.S., I mean, what I'm referring to, Jeremy, is that I have spoken with some Jews who have said just the mere name. Once people know them, they feel targeted because
mm.
of their background.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with what happened, there's no doubt that happened with his experience, surviving the concentration camps. But when he came here, um, you know, I'm not sure. We never really had that discussion around feeling targeted here. I mean, um, yeah, I'm not sure how his experience once he got to the U.S. was actually. I was younger, but we didn't really discuss it.
Nope, that's all. That's
Yeah.
all fine. It's maybe just as well that did not happen, but again, and but I'm looking also at your back, the banner in the background, inspired leader. What is the inspired part? I mean, it's inspired insider, and I really I'm gonna take it one word at a time. Inspired. I think I know basically what that is. Insider. How does that relate?
Yeah, I mean, when I first started my podcast, you know, probably at this point over 17 years ago, I was thinking how kind of like what you're talking about, how do people overcome challenges, right? Because what I find interesting about all the people I've had on the podcast, it could be the co-founder of Pixar and Einstein Bagels and P90X. It was never this like clear, rosy path and trajectory. There was always something that they had to overcome. And I found that over time, I got less and less surprised by that. I'm still kind of shocked because you always think, oh, they have everything together, right? But when you actually talk to someone, you look under the hood, they don't have everything together. They have a lot of challenges, and it doesn't matter from the outside what's showing or how successful someone looks from the outside. They always have something that they're struggling with or challenged with, and I found, they're still putting their pants on one leg at a time, like everyone else. And like I remember when Noah Alper of Einstein, he sold Noah's Bagels to Einstein Bagels, I think, for like $100 million. But he started off, he had a couple failed businesses. He was selling religious tchotchkes out of his car to make ends meet. And they started one store, right? And it was not a easy path. Same thing with Tony Horton of P90X, who is sold probably billions of dollars of CDs, DVDs, information. And I remember he told me when he went on his journey from like, I think it was Pittsburgh to California to follow his dream of being a personal trainer and fitness, he was a street mime. And he would make his money by putting a hat on the street, doing street mime, and people would put money in his hat, right? And so I was like thinking, shocked by that, right? Like, oh, but most everyone started with that, at least the entrepreneurs I've had on, right? And so it's just kind of humbling to hear. And that's inspiring for me. And that's kind of some of the stories I set out, they inspire me. Hopefully they inspire other people, right? And that's what you talk about, which is adversity and challenge. Like I learn a lot more from like challenge or adversity than I do necessarily from success. Although, that's what we strive for.
Marty and I frequently use the term failing forward. And yes, through mentors, you can learn what not to do, but yet, when we experience things that didn't turn out, the mindset is, well, I won't do that again, but I will certainly learn from it, through it. So, are there failing forward experiences that you have had?
I could just talk about today. I mean, there's so many.
Sure.
Whenever when I wake up and there's failures, but the way I try and view it is if there's a setback or a failure or something like that, the way I think, internalize it is, what opportunity is going to come from this, right? And sometimes it's hard at the time. I remember a couple years ago, I tore my meniscus in my knee, and I was like very active. And at the time, like it was hard to walk, and I was like, okay, like what opportunity is going to come from this? I don't know, and one of the things that came out of it was, like, I couldn't do the things I like to do. Like I couldn't play basketball, I couldn't play softball, I couldn't run. But I don't know how I stumbled across it. Like what I could do was swim. And so I'm like, okay, I guess I've never swam before. I don't like getting up and jumping in cold water. It's just not pleasurable for me. And so I just started swimming. And then, lo and behold, I just started swimming then 6 days a week, and I started getting into it. But I would have never, ever, ever, Ron and Murray, discovered or done that if it weren't for injuring my knee, right? So, and I just kind of in my mind have to think, well, what is the opportunity here? What will this lead to? And just kind of be cognizant of it, right? Because like it's easy to just say, you know what, I can't do the things I love. This is terrible. What am I going to do? But those words, like just like where's the opportunity going to be in this? So that's kind of, I think about the failures or setbacks for me.
What comes to my mind, Dr. Willie Jolly wrote a book. Every setback can be a setup for a comeback. And the title is very appropriate to me, that a setback is just a momentary position, but that could in fact be a setup for a comeback. It sounds like that is your mindset.
I love
And
that.
I'm curious, have you always had the mindset that, no, Dr. Jeremy, I am not a failure. No matter what happens, I'll always come back from this. Have you always felt that way, or have you had to develop that mindset?
I think, it goes back to my grandfather's story, and like, for me, it's perspective, right? And so, when I think back to what he went through, having his home burned down, having to live in the woods for weeks at a time. And I'm like, hopefully it'll never be as bad as that. And so if he could get through that, I can get through what I can get through. You know what I mean? So I kind of just put it in perspective, as maybe it's not a great perspective. Like someone has been worse off, is worse off, and I should have some kind of gratitude for where I'm at. Right. And so I think it's hard for me, if like I have gratitude, thinking of gratitude, to have the opposing feeling sorry for myself at the same time I have gratitude. Right. And so again, I'm not saying it's easy, but trying to think of that as a mindset. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe it was just growing up with these stories and being like, okay, like it's not as bad as that. So I'll be fine.
I want to take a very brief moment to tell you about myself, the Cooper Culture, a certified veteran-owned small business. I am a retired lieutenant colonel serving the Air Force for 22 years as an F-4 pilot, commander. I have 300 combat missions. I specialize in executive leadership training, team building, and workplace culture, where we help businesses to develop a culture of loyalty, trust, and by developing personality traits and personal strengths, we can help identify those traits that support the company's objectives. We do this through half day and all day training shops. I'm also a public speaker where I welcome the opportunity to speak with your group to help you develop your team to the point where people are loyal and they know exactly how they fit in the organization and contribute to your strategic objectives. Through that, you will have a very profitable company in a psychologically safe space where people know they can freely discuss everything about the company themselves, and we are always working together to progress. Contact me at ron@thecooperculture.com. Our website is thecooperculture.com. Look forward to the opportunity to speak with your group, work with your group, to take your group to the next level to where we soar together. Let's work together. And I think that's a mindset that a lot of people need to learn from people like you, hopefully us, that there's no failure that is so bad that we cannot overcome. Nothing. But we'll learn from it, through it. And when we surround ourselves with people who inspire us, you think a lot, think back frequently and very compassionately to your grandfather. And as we surround ourselves with people who support us, believe in us, I believe there's nothing that will keep us from achieving what we believe to be the worthwhile goal. That's just my thought about mindset and moving forward through various adversity. You may have a slightly different thought process about it.
I agree with that. I'm gonna have to check out that book you talked about, Willie Jolly, you said?
Dr. Willie Jolly, Jolly.
Yeah.
Every setback can be
Yeah.
a set up for a comeback. It's a great book, and it's absolutely right on target that there's no setback that is so large, so all-encompassing that we can't learn from it, and it may actually be a setup for a comeback. And as we inspire other people to have that kind of a mindset, there's nothing hollow words about that. It's very substantive that yes, we are going to move forward. Nobody is going to keep me from achieving the greater good in life. With that kind of an attitude, there's nothing arrogant about that. It's just that Marty and I together are moving forward. Jeremy's moving forward. Nothing's going to keep us from achieving the greater things in life.
I mean, I think, what you're saying with, I try and just train my mind over time with great audiobooks and I think of different mantras because, like if there's hard times or challenges, there's different mantras people play in their head, right? And we do those consciously and unconsciously. So I used to listen to only audio. I pretty much in my car listen to only audiobooks. But I used to, if people are listening like a cassette tape, if you're younger, it's like, just look it up what a cassette tape looks like. But, I used to listen to like Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy and try and fill my head with people who are positive thinking, motivational, and, challenges, again, like mantras. So, my daughter is in cross country and I'm like, when things get tough, you have to have like some kind of mantra that you have that's positive because it can easily go downhill. Like, I want to quit. I want to stop. This is hard, So, like you mentioned with the challenges. So some of the mantras I think of, pressure makes diamonds, right? So there's lots of mantras I can have, and that fuels a positivity and like a upside of things, right? So that's how I kind of think it's self-talk, right? And our self-talk could be negative or it could be positive, and we have a choice of that self-talk.
And that's where I wanted to go with exactly what you're saying. The mantra we choose is, in fact, our choice. We can go a negative mantra if we would choose to isolate and so forth, or we can go the positive mantra, but ultimately it's our choice. Is that a fair statement?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, whose else choice is it? It's fun. I think, I don't know, there's a good quote. I don't know if it was Eleanor Roosevelt or said, if my daughters will say this, like, you made me feel bad. I'm like, no, you made you feel bad. Maybe I said something to you, but actually you feel bad because you made you feel bad, not me. Or a kid at school said something, right? And so it's it's our choice in the end, right?
No, and I believe it was Eleanor Roosevelt that said, and I'm not going to be able to quote it precisely, I will never believe anything negative about myself that you tell me unless I choose to believe it.
Yeah. I'll have to find this.
You're
It's
probably
a good
looking it
one.
up right now.
Yeah. I'm like, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. I
Right
don't know if
there.
that,
Right
I don't know if
there's the
that's
one.
attributed to her. Yeah.
Yep.
No one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Yep. And so it's only those negative, as I consent to, yep, I'm a lesser person because you say I am. And, but again, we don't need to surround ourselves with people who are the negative thinkers. And I am suggesting, I think you're saying we need to be selective with the people with whom we spend a lot of time with. And I'm not suggesting we don't talk with any people, but those who are negative thinkers and so forth, we put those toward the bottom of the list as far
Yeah.
as the amount of time we'll
Yeah.
spend with them.
I mean, it's a tough one. And my daughters hate when I give them quotes, by the way. They do not, they aren't, I'm not saying they're super receptive to me, but maybe it like will plant a seed for later on. But some of those people, I feel like mean well, right? It could be my experience of family or friends that mean well, but um they may just being negative, and I have to kind of distance myself from people over time. And it's people that maybe I have 20, 30 years of relationship with, and I realize it's not serving me, right? And so I just have to realize that it's not serving me, and maybe only hang out in certain social settings. And it just sometimes it's, I don't know, hard to fall into that trap, especially when there's a history there with someone.
I understand exactly what you're saying. And when you say you have to distance yourself from, is it true, your life experience, that maybe others separate from you actually because they don't think the way you do? They don't share the
100%.
same values. It's not you
Yeah.
separating from them necessarily. It's, well, I choose not to spend as much time with Jeremy as I will with somebody else.
100%. I mean, it's actually a really good question. I'm sure that's the case, because I'm strange. So I'm sure people have separated themselves from me. But it's, I am not into, I'm pretty kind of healthy. So it's not like I don't drink and I don't do that. And some people like, that's not fun. I want to be around someone that's partying and drinking and that kind of thing, which is fine, right? So I'm sure there's definitely difference in lifestyles and values and things like that, no doubt.
But now, okay, you just moments ago said you are self-described as strange. Have
Yeah.
you been described in some cases, some venues as being an outlier?
I mean, yes. I mean, the thing is, has been pointed out, I didn't even realize some things I do are strange because I just do them, right? And I'll give you an example. So I didn't think this was weird, but I wear basketball shorts under everything. So that could be if I'm wearing jeans. I wore it. We had, tuxedo at my wedding. I wore basketball shorts, and the reason is um, that I'm like, maybe a basketball game will break out at some point, or I'll be prepared, or work out or something like that. So I just do. I don't know when I started doing it, but if I'm out to a nice dinner, if I'm in jeans or slacks or whatever, I have basketball shorts under there. And I did not think it was weird. Sometimes that when I get home, I just drop my pants and I'm walking around the house and I'm comfortable, or I'm going to go work out. So there was a black tie wedding I did go to at a place in Chicago, and it was at like a club, and there was a gym there. And actually, we had a couple hours, and we passed by this basketball gym, and I actually just took off my tuxedo pants and was shooting around. People thought that was weird. May have mentioned that to someone at some point, and they're like, "That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard." And I'm like, I did not think it was strange at all. I'm like, okay, I'm prepped and ready to go if we need to like work out.
Hey, it's who I am. It's I'm
But there's
ready
a
to
lot of
go.
things I do that, to me are not weird, and to other people are weird, you know? So,
But see, I think a lot of well, I'm now referring back to dream relationships. I think it's a lot of accepting who we are. I mean, okay, you others may or may not dress with basketball shorts underneath, but okay, so what? It's a peripheral in the context of issues. It's a peripheral issue. It defines you. That's all fine. But hey, that relationship goes far deeper than whether we both wear basketball shorts or not. But I'm looking at again your banner that talks about dream relationships. Well, relationships and how much we share with each other goes far deeper than whether I'm wearing a pair of gym shorts.
right. I mean, the thing is, I have to be aware what other people are saying. So, like, let's say I work out 7 days a week, and people who don't may make them feel bad that they're not. And that's not my intent if we're talking about working out, but they may say things like, that's too much. You're going to burn yourself out. Are you sure that's good for you? Blah, blah, blah. But like, I think, either conscious or subconscious, it makes them feel bad that they're not doing it. And so, why do they trying to take, at least I'm perceiving this when they're saying these things, why is that bad? Like, because I'm motivated to work out in 7 days a week, it just makes someone else what they're doing, if they're maybe insecure about it, think, you know, that's bad. Like, for me, it's the opposite. If I hear someone, oh, I'm working out twice a day, I'm like, oh, interesting. I'm thinking more like, should I be doing that, as opposed to, that's bad for you, that's crazy, why are you doing that? So I think people have to be aware, if they're motivated for in business or health or something like that, and someone else is questioning it, why are they questioning it?
But I think in the context of long-term thinking, and I'm looking at the word inspired, you may inspire people, I hope I do, to stimulate your thinking that, all right, I work out 2 days a week, you work out 7 days a week. Should I work out 7 days a week? Well, what are my time priorities? I'll think into it, think through it. And for my personal life objectives, how does a 7 day workout fit in with everything?
Yeah,
And I can think into and think through it. You might disagree with my thinking, but at least I'm satisfied with what I'm thinking, my life objectives. And you may be a little bit different, but let's go out and have lunch together.
totally. Yeah. I mean, I'm all about learning from others why they're doing what they're doing, and, what of that should I be incorporating into my life?
Yep. And I think, Jeremy, you've got a great outlook on life. I think I can definitely read into the building dream relationships, the inspired insider. And as you work with people, yep, you want to inspire people to achieve the greater goods. I can see that you are a great inspiration to other people. And while you may think differently, do differently, that, hey, that's all okay as long as you have a reasoned approach to whatever life choice you take of moving forward. That's how I'm processing what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. It's really, for me, how do I show up for other people and be of service to them, and just have specific goals that I'm, looking to go after.
Jeremy, what is your podcast all about, and how can people uh, look it up and see what podcasts they would like to listen to?
Yeah, my podcast is inspiredinsider.com. You can check it out. And everyone, just like yours, right, takes different twists and turns, right? Because this is very conversational, and that's kind of how I like to conduct it, which is we just kind of go wherever we go with someone's journey. But I do like to talk about some of their, we talk a lot about business and some of those ups and downs, because it's not always ups, and what they did to get through. There was a company I talked to the other week, and they've grown to $200 million, but they've made like four major pivots in their business. And so I want to hear about that. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, we thought this was going to happen, and that's what happened. It takes twists and turns. So it's really about someone's business journey, and what are some of the ups and downs that got them to where they are, and what are some of the things I should be doing that has grown their business and their team and their culture.
Good.
And I think a lot of the attitude, the mindset that you were referring to earlier is we're always going to be moving forward, upward, whatever term you use, but we're going to always grow. That is a mindset that I would hope to inspire with everybody, and it seems you're doing the same thing.
Listen, that's all it's about is just continue to grow, even if it's like a little bit each day.
Well, and we are advocates, and I suspect you are as well. It doesn't matter how large the win is, celebrate it. And we're always moving forward.
That's a tough one. You know what I mean? Like I tend to not celebrate the wins as much, so that is definitely something I struggle with, right? So even if there's small wins, I'm looking at like the end goal. And so that's good advice, I think, for myself and anyone else, honestly, to sometimes celebrate the small wins along the way, even if they're little.
Well, and I think, in that context, what Marty and I do is, well, gosh, just today we learned something today that every day I want to end the day knowing something I did not know at the beginning of the day. And sometimes we'll say, well, hey, let's just go out and celebrate with a sandwich. And,
Right.
a small celebration, but yet, hey, it's us. We did it. And so we'll just relish in that little bit right there.
You have me at food. I'll celebrate with food all day long.
All right. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Jeremy, it's great to be with you. And our listeners, I want to encourage to listen to your podcast. And you are an inspired insider, and it's great to be with you. And we look forward to continuing our dialogue.
Well, thank you for having me. And it's really impressive what you both have done, over 400 episodes. And I encourage people to check out all the great episodes on your podcast.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. And we encourage people to do the same with you. And by surrounding ourselves with people who share our same values, we'll overcome any adversity in life. I am absolutely convinced of that.
I love it. Thanks
All
for doing
right.
what you do.
Great, Jeremy. Thank you. Be with it.
We appreciate having the opportunity to share our and our guests' life experiences with you.
The Cooper culture advances organizations to achieve and sustain high retention rates, connected communication, and trust through personality insights and principled leadership. You can contact us at our website, thecooperculture.com, and you can contact us directly at ron@thecooperculture.com or Marty, Marty, at thecooperculture.com. We work with you to help assess aspects of your culture to advance the environment and people to their best performance. We do that through our staff of certified personal performance coaches, leadership trainers, keynote speakers, and DISC personality behavior experts. You can book a speaking engagement directly through our website by contacting us at ron@thecooperculture.com. We look forward to sharing our life experiences with you, some of which are profound, some of which are pretty funny. Some of those life experiences are ones we'll never do that again because we've been through stuff. We truly look forward to working with you, speaking with you, helping advance you in any way that we can.